You get an all-time Heisman vote.
Okay.
Who should we put? Say, well, let's do 5 names. We can fit more if we need to. Who would go on that poll?
All right.
And the question, too, is do you limit to a time? Because none of us saw O.J. Simpson live.
But see, I would say O.J. Simpson because he was, and I think, being younger, it stood out because I had not seen a football player like that. And when I saw O.J. play against Ohio State, I was just seeing something. Gale Sayers was similar when he was with the Bears, but I was seeing somebody, and Jim Brown was a great running back, obviously, but there was more force to him, more power to him. As far as grace and power, O.J. Simpson was unbelievable. So I would say him, but I'm older than you guys, so O.J. would probably come to mind. But let's go around the room. Paulie, I'll start with you.
First name that went in my head, and I stuck with it after doing some research, it's Herschel Walker of Georgia.
Okay.
3 years, everybody knew he was getting the ball. Everybody knew it. He was the only weapon they really had. 1,600 yards, 1,900 yards, 1,800 yards. He outrushed his quarterbacks passing all 3 years. His last year in college, 1,700 yards. The team only passed for 907. Everybody knew he was getting the ball. He was the face of the sport, Herschel Walker.
But he didn't get the Heisman in his first year when I thought he deserved. You could have given the Heisman to Herschel a couple of times.
That's right.
But you're right. I mean, we all think of that play, that run against Tennessee when Bill Bates tries to tackle him and it doesn't go well. I saw Herschel in person in college at a game in Athens. And once again, you're seeing somebody that big, that fast. And, this was the precursor to Bo Jackson. And then you saw Bo, and Bo is an even better athlete than Herschel and more explosive than Herschel. Because Herschel didn't have any real wiggle to him. Bo could beat you. He could beat you up the middle, and he could beat you on the edge as well. But if it's not O.J. Simpson for me, it would have been Bo Jackson. Yeah, Paul.
I was in on Bo Jackson, but Bo Jackson had like a season with 1,200 yards. Then his junior year, remember, he had a bunch of thigh injuries and sat basically a lot of games. And he had 475 yards. Then he came back and had 1,800 yards and put a bow on his career. The other guy I would have said would have been Barry Sanders, but he did it for 1 year. His 1 year was the nuttiest.
Yeah.
But it's 1 year.
I was really fortunate because I became friends with Barry his junior year at Oklahoma State and did a feature on him and stayed in touch. Well, I'm still in touch with Barry Sanders. We look at Lamar Jackson, how he deflects any praise. Barry never got praise, even from his own dad, because his dad would always remind Barry Sanders, "You're not Jim Brown." And so Barry just grew up realizing he would never be the best running back in his dad's eyes because his dad would remind him, "You're no Jim Brown." To which Barry said, "I know. I'm no Jim Brown." But I was there when Bo Jackson won his Heisman. I covered that. And I remember he had such a stutter, like he wasn't comfortable in front of the media. He's since gotten a whole lot better, but I remember that was the thing that when we were interviewing him, that I was asked that, you got to be patient with him because he has a hard time answering questions because of his stutter. McLevin, what do you have for me?
Well, then it's funny. The name that jumped into my head was Tim Tebow immediately.
Really?
Just because he encapsulated a lot of what the Heisman is about. It's all the cliches, but like the speech, 2 titles. The other one that
stats were great.
The other one that jumped in my head because he won 2 titles, and I just had to look it up. He didn't win a Heisman. It was Tommy Frazier with Nebraska. When I was into college football, he was in total control.
I think he might be the greatest winner at that position.
He did. I don't think he won the award.
No. I'm saying the greatest winner.
Oh, right. Right.
Because I think from his freshman year, like all 4 years at Nebraska, Tommy Frazier was spectacular. He was one of those, what do you need me to do each game? And he gave it to you. And he was just slippery. Yes, McLeod.
Couple of Vince Young's Rose Bowl year was crazy. If you do 1 year, and Cam Newton's 1 year.
But I don't think you remember much about Vince Young except for the Rose Bowl.
1 game. Yeah, I know. That's what he. But I think he had like an insane year too.
Yes, he did.
That was the greatest performance. And Cam Newton's 1 year, I remember just he could not be stopped in any way, shape, or form.
But I remember that one as we thought he was going to be suspended. And
that hung over the whole thing.
Yeah, we were on campus there for the Georgia game, Paulie and I, and we didn't know if he was going to play.
Remember, he came running. No one knew. It hadn't been announced. And he came running out after the eagle flew around. The place went berserk.
Seton, you got one?
First name that popped into my mind was Tim Tebow.
Okay.
Yeah. And right, it seems kind of obvious. Maybe there's some recency bias there.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically for everything Andrew just said, there's no denying his impact on college football and the force that he was.
I would say Manziel over Tebow because Manziel to me was a weekly highlight reel. Tebow didn't give you great highlights. He was on a great team and gave you great numbers and really epitomizes what you want in a Heisman Trophy winner, absolutely, and Manziel probably does it. But Manziel, every single week, that was must-see TV. And while Florida was must-see TV because you were watching future pros, Manziel, you were watching something you'd never seen before. Yeah, see.
You know, the next name that popped into my head, though, was a guy who didn't get the Heisman, though, which is where it came from. And I have no idea why he I mean, I know he made a big impact on me as a kid thinking about him, but Rocket Ismail, he was just unbelievable. And he was, I don't know, maybe 11, 12 years old. And I remember watching him against Michigan, ran 2 back, just going nuts, going absolutely berserk, getting the cover of Sports Illustrated. I think he lost to Ty Detmer, which is no doubt he deserved the Heisman, but man, it would have been pretty sweet to. That was a special time of football.
And I also think when you're younger, there's more of an impact. Whereas as you get older, you're not as invested. You may not have a team that you follow. You're a little more jaded.
Just the excitement of waiting for every kickoff to see, like, all right, is he going to do it?
Yeah.
You waited on every single one to see, like, okay, this is it. He's going to go.
Yeah, Paulie.
And if you think about it, Rocket Ismail was one flag away from having the greatest ending to a career, maybe any career.
Right.
He had a punt return against Colorado. Colorado's number 1, Notre Dame's number 5. They're in the mix because that's when they judged.
Yeah.
Notre Dame and Rocket Ismail, they didn't kick it out of bounds. They kicked it to him, and there was a flag just a few feet away from the play. I think Ted Johnson got clipped. Or Rocket Ismail punt returns a game-winning touchdown to win a national title.
Was that Bill McCartney?
Yep.
I want to say that's when I learned what clipping was. I'm like, what the hell is that? Oh.
Terrible call.
I know. Todd, you got one?
I initially thought Herschel or Bo Jackson, but I think Eddie George is a name that should definitely be included in the list.
No, he doesn't have anything exciting.
I thought he had some huge runs for Ohio State. I thought he was dominant. Did he win by default that year? Did they just got to give it to him?
No, Eddie was a great running back, but I don't think there was anything spectacular about him. Like John Brockington was a great Ohio State running back, but, I just think because of that position at that university, the running back was going to be featured there. Yeah, Paul.
Eddie George did have 1,500 yards, then 1,900 yards in back-to-back seasons.
He was great. There was nothing memorable about his style.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune into Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV. Stream for free on BR Live or download the Dan Patrick Show app.